Hey guys, Coach Logan here again. I've been having fun with these Blitz videos, so I thought I would do another one. This time I'm going to try to really do a better job with my time management. I'm always getting behind in time. Alright, so let's go. Keep it solid here. Spanish. I'm going to play the Berlin. It's probably the most solid defense in all of chess. Okay, so we're getting the main line. He's going to take my knight. Let me get this endgame, where I have a bad pawn structure, but a pretty good bishop pair. Okay, let's block that pawn. I'm going to try to control d4, because I want to play knight h4 and swap my knight off. Okay, let's defend that square. Be honest, this isn't the best position I've ever gotten from this opening, but I think I'm still pretty solid. This pawn on e5 really blocks his bishop. Alright, I'm going to take that. Go king e7. The danger for black in this is if white can get his kingside pawn majority rolling. You don't want to just go ahead and trade off all the pieces, but as long as you still got some, I think you're okay. Alright, let's resolve this. He's going to take my bishop. Oh, no, he didn't. Okay. If he plays g4, is that a problem for me? Let's go h5 and block that. Generally, if your king is on the king side, I think it's okay to play h5. Or it may even be preferable to stop those pawns. Okay. Let's now bring my rooks to challenge him. If he takes, I think I'll take back with the, let's see, king or pawn. Maybe pawn, just to really keep this pawn blockaded. That way I can use my king to do other stuff later. It's funny, this pawn on e5 really blocks this dark square bishop, whether it's on this diagonal or if it goes to f4 and it's on that diagonal. Okay, he's going g4 maybe? I'll play h4. Now if he plays g4, I'll take en passant, so he really can't do it. It's going to be hard for him to move the f pawn too, because I have knight e3. I think this is pretty even. Alright. Yeah, let's go knight to d4. We'll use that. Sometimes when you have double pawns, they give you decent outpost squares. If he trades, I can then undouble my pawns. Okay, we'll take back. Alright, let's defend that. Now I just have a nice pawn structure and the bishop, which I think is better than his knight. Oh, but he's hitting that, okay. Hitting that pawn. What if I play bishop d5 here? If he takes with the rook, do I have bishop takes f3, rook takes on h8, I take on d1? I think I'm winning a piece there. So I think tactics save the day here. Okay. Yeah, I might need to get rid of this though, just because he might be taking h4. And h4 could get weak theoretically, so he'll take. Let's attack this pawn now. This intrepid soldier here. He's run all the way out to my territory. Okay. We'll attack him again. He can't stack rooks, so I'm not sure how he's going to defend him. I might play like rook f4 just to challenge my h4 pawn. But I think I'm doing pretty well here, and I'm staying up on time, so that's an improvement. Okay, yeah, we're gonna take this. Now I'm just up a pawn. Okay, well, we can keep that defended. And maybe we can squeeze him here. I mean, we're up a pawn, and I have more space, and I'm better centralized. This is looking pretty good. Okay, slowly but surely gonna advance these pawns here. No idea what he's trying to do. Okay, he might be trying to bother that pawn. That's okay. If he checks me, I'm going king e4. f3, I can play king to f4. And there's no other decoy checks. Okay. Go d3. If he takes, I'm taking back with the pawn. Yep, this keeps his king cut off. Yeah, this is just winning. He's done here. Okay. I'll bring my king this way. Yep. Alright. That was a pretty solid win. I do think so I'm going to analyze this here. Let's clear these screens out. These ones are, Berlin endgames are really tough to analyze with the computer. I think they just don't really have a good feel for them. That's why, I don't know, that's one of the unique things about this opening is it's really almost useless to do this with a computer because it's all about strategy, right? As compared to something like a knight orf where it gets very, very sharp. This is just all on feel. So, okay, so he takes my pawn. We get this endgame here after the queen trade, and what's going on is I have a nice pair of bishops, but he has a better pawn structure because of my doubled pawn on c6. So a bad plan for me would be to just trade off all the pieces and go to the real endgame, because then I would just have the losing structure. So what I'm trying to do here, I played bishop e7. This knight tends to be a little bit clunky, so my idea was to go knight h4, but he did this quick fianchetto. And now I wasn't so crazy about knight h4 because he could do stuff like, let's say he takes, and then something like pawn to e6 is not really what I was looking for. Although now, I mean, I did say I didn't love the computer help on this, but it's showing that if I take, okay, he does further kind of weaken these pawns, but now after rook to g8, maybe my activity means that it's all okay. So like after something like bishop retreating, let's see, can I provoke some stuff here? Bishop h3, king e7, g3. Yeah, I think even this, even with my pawns a little bit suspicious, I think the bishops are just so good in a position like this, I shouldn't have feared it. Bishop f6, he's going to trade probably. Maybe play rook e1 just to get activity, but I trade. Yeah, I think this is a good example of where my really, really good light squared bishop and my activity would just mean that even though my pawn structure is worse, I'm still doing pretty well. Instead, we didn't get that. Instead, we got kind of this position. And despite all of my questionable decisions in handling this, I think this was still solid for me. That's one of the reasons I'm really, really a big fan of this defense. Yeah. Oh, so here was another key point, was with my doubled pawns, they gave me access to this d4 square, right? If this pawn weren't here, say it was like back on the d file, I wouldn't be able to get to that square so easily, but I have this pawn and my knight and my rook, so that's enough pieces that I could play a move like knight d4, and after he takes, I've just undoubled my pawns and my position is quite good. Oh, and the one last thing I'll point out was he did this rook e4 idea, trying to gang up on this pawn, and I can't play a move like g5 because he just takes. So instead I had to use tactics, but luckily I found it. Bishop to d5. If he were to have taken this pawn, you know, counting on something like this, that would not be ideal. Although even here the computer's pointing out bishop e4 and he's still in trouble because his knight is in some questionable spot and I'm attacking c2. But the tactic I was really angling for was if he takes this pawn, I have this intermezzo, bishop takes f3, threatening his rook. If he were to take this, I take his rook. And if he were to take my rook, I take the rook on d1. And after finally taking this one, I'm still up a bishop. So that would just be winning. So yeah, what can I say? Play the Berlin, kids. Knight f6 on move 3. It's gold.